Hi, a very good evening to all of you. So now we are going to understand few more topics of world history. वर्ल्ड हिस्ट्री सीरीज इज बीन गोइंग ऑन. अगर इसको देख रहे हो तो आप भाई पहले वीडियो से देखना, 20 से देखना स्टार्ट करो तो कुछ चीज़ें मिस आउट कर सकते हो. सो मेक श्योर आप फर्स्ट वीडियो से स्टार्ट करें, एनलाइटनमेंट से स्टार्ट करें. थोड़ी एनलाइटनमेंट होगी आपकी, फिर आप आगे का सिलेबस देख पाओगे. लेट अस स्टार्ट विद द वीडियो एज वी आर गोइंग फॉरवर्ड. Today we'll be discussing about even more topics, है ना. कौन सा specific topic? It is about the nation states. So we'll talk about syllabus, trend, PYQ and sources. As I've already told you, अगर आपको अच्छे से प्रिपेयर करना है हिस्ट्री ऑप्शनल को तो ये चार चीज़ें पकड़ के बैठ जाइए. इतना भी अगर ढंग से कर लेंगे तो you'll clear this exam. The topic that we have in this video is nation state system. ये टॉपिक काफ़ी ज़्यादा एनालिटिकल वाला पार्ट है, इसमें डिबेट्स काफ़ी सारी आती हैं, बात करेंगे उनके बारे में. Rise of nationalism in the 19th century. As we have already discussed, with the end of French Revolution and the rise of Napoleon, similar kind of tendencies also increase in the rest of the part of the Europe. Two countries है ना, which were still in the making, which were still geographical expression, Italy and Germany, are now going to rise. And this is what the topic is also about: nationalism, state building in Germany as well as Italy. These are very important topic. Every year we expect a question from this topic. Then finally, after this disintegration of empire through the emergence of nationalities, like even say India also become an independent nation. Why? Because we see the emergence of Indian nationality. So like this, all these big empire makers like Britain, France, Netherlands, Spain, Portugal, all of them, they lost their territory one after the other with the rise of nationalism. So this is the classic fight of imperialism versus nationalism. Let us see the kind of questions which UPSC has asked here. If we see the trend, बहुत सारे क्वेश्चंस हैं. कितने क्वेश्चंस हैं? 43 क्वेश्चंस हैं. राइज ऑफ नेशनलिज्म इन द 19th century. So we have 8 questions here. Italy around 9 questions. Germany you can easily highlight, 17 questions are there. Comparison of Italy Germany, here we have roughly around 2 to 3 questions. And then the disintegration of empire through the emergence of nationality, we have 6 questions. चलिए स्टार्ट करते हैं, एक बार डिस्कस करते हैं इनको. So if we see the previous year questions, जितना भी नेशनलिज्म का टॉपिक है इसमें आपको थोड़ा सा ईस्टर्न क्वेश्चन वाला भी थोड़ा सा पार्ट कवर हो जाता है. लाइक इफ यू सी द फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन, डू यू सब्सक्राइब टू द व्यू दैट Greek War of Independence was marred in contrast of best and the worst episode? How did it affect the concert of Europe? So the concert of Europe was an institution which came into the being after the Vienna Congress in 1815, and thereafter this institution was now going to control every small or major developments in Europe. And Greece, as it was initially under the control of Ottoman Empire, it was now seeking for its own independence. However, this was not allowed by the Turks, and thereafter when the Greek massacre was going on, European countries came forward, and this is how Greece became independence by 1829. That's why they are saying, how did we see the best and the worst of the episode during the time of Greek War of Independence? The years 1853 to 94 witnessed a transformation of Japan. Yes, this is the phase. Japan gets invaded by Matthew Perry 1853, and thereafter we see major restoration by 1868, and by the end of this 19th century they were able to become a major leader and a major power. Lord Beaconsfield, after his return from the Congress of Berlin, boasted, "I have brought peace with honor." So this is about some of the events of the Eastern question. Alright, so Russia was able to defeat Turkey in 1877, impose the Treaty of San Stefano, and thereafter it was affecting the interest of Austria, Britain. So Britain was trying to protect its empire in India, and as a result of that, Lord Beaconsfield eventually was trying to negotiate, and that's how they turned the whole treaty. Its provisions were changed, and in 1878 the Treaty of Berlin was signed. Asian nationalism is just a product of Western impact on the Asian intelligentsia in the last decades of the 19th century. So we have to see to what extent this is correct or incorrect by taking various examples from the globe. These are the kind of questions which we get in this topic of nationalism. Then the European nation, in emphasizing their solidarity, their Europeanness in dealing with Asian countries, inevitably gave rise to the feeling of Asianness. This is how it is. They used to consider that we are weak, we are inferior, and as a result of that we see the rise of Asianness. Crimean War, again a part of the Eastern question, was the most useless war ever waged. Characteristic motive of this period, alright, it was not so much as liberalism as nationalism. So liberalism is something which was dominant from 1815 till 1830. However, after 1830, eventually they realized that this is not going to work. So thereafter they shifted towards rabid nationalism. How did Japan develop between 1868 and 1894? Did the restoration of Meiji mark a sharp break with the past. So what kind of changes do we see in Japan? अब तो जापान का ये वाला टॉपिक इतना इंपॉर्टेंट रहा नहीं, सिलेबस चेंज हो चुका है. However, थोड़ा सा इसके बारे में पढ़ लेंगे तो कुछ चला नहीं जाएगा अपना. इटली, दिस ईयर इटसेल्फ एज आई टोल्ड यू, इटली और जर्मनी से बहुत ज़्यादा फ्रीक्वेंसी रहती है क्वेश्चंस की. तो आप इस टॉपिक को बहुत अच्छे से समझेंगे. क्या क्या डायमेंशंस है, एक डायमेंशन चार्ट बनाइए. इफ सपोज इफ यू आर अंडरस्टैंडिंग इटालियन रेवोल्यूशन और इटालियन यूनिफिकेशन प्रोसेस, व्हाट कैटेगरीज ऑफ क्वेश्चंस कैन कम. एक तो बहुत ही रिपीटेटिव है, डिस्कस द डिफरेंट स्टेज ऑफ द यूनिफिकेशन ऑफ इटली फ्रॉम 1848 टू द ऑक्यूपेशन ऑफ रोम इन 1870. तो ये क्वेश्चन बहुत रिपीटेटिव है, यू कैन सी इट. आगे देखेंगे. चलो नेक्स्ट पेज पे सेम ऐसे काफ़ी सारे क्वेश्चंस हैं. हाउ वाज इटली ट्रांसफॉर्म फ्रॉम ए जोग्राफिकल एक्सप्रेशन टू अ नेशन स्टेट. सो Metternich used to say that it is just a geographical expression. This is never going to become a state till I am alive, till I am in power. So this was his statement from 1815 onwards, until he was there till 1848 when he eventually fled away to England. He ensured that Italy could not become a state. However, from 1848 till 1870-71 they were able to transform themselves, and that process we have to understand. Mazzini, one of the major freedom fighter for Italy, his conception of Italian nationality was not exclusive, and his dominant ideal was the recreation of moral unity of mankind. So this is about his approach. Just like we have Mahatma Gandhi ji for our country, we also have Mazzini for Italy. Then the role of Cavour, they have stopped me from making Italy by diplomacy from north, I'll make it by revolution from the south. Unification of Italy completed the destruction of European order, because the destruction the European order happened because 1815 order, Vienna order, was dividing Italy into multiple parts. Like northern part was controlled by Austria, southern part was controlled by France, central part under the control of Pope. So this is how Italy was very much divided. Only Piedmont, Sardinia was there, which was an Italian state. Then what were the obstacles in front of Italian unification till 1852, and with what methods the unification was achieved? They have stopped me from making Italy by diplomacy from north, I'll make it by revolution from south. Same the role of Cavour. Trace the course of the movement of Italian unification from 1848 to 1870. Then trace the various stages. यही सेम क्वेश्चन इस बार आ गया, trace the various stages. So बहुत ही बेसिक लेवल क्वेश्चंस हैं. हमने एक चीज़ समझी, they're asking question either directly on Italy or they're asking about some of the important personality. मजीनी के ऊपर क्वेश्चन 2 बार आया है, कैवूर के स्टेटमेंट उन्होंने पूछा है, या फिर मेटरनिच who was a big obstruction in the unification of Italy. तो इन पर्सनैलिटीज़ के ऊपर क्वेश्चन आ रहे हैं और ये हमारे ओवरऑल क्वेश्चन आ रहा है इटालियन यूनिफिकेशन का, स्टेजेस वाइज पूछ रहे हैं. दिस इज हाउ इफ़ यू प्रिपेयर इटली तो अच्छे से आप इसको कवर कर सकते हो. विद रिस्पेक्ट टू जर्मनी, फ्रॉम बिस्मार्क्स ब्लड एंड आयरन. So blood and iron is the approach which he is going to follow speech, and his forceful action to achieve German unification, he came to be known as the Iron Chancellor. So we have to understand that he was a big followers of war as well as diplomacy. He was somebody who is known as the age of realism starts with Bismarck. So Bismarck never believed in morality, he never believed in all those things. He was somebody who was a leader of realism. Examine the role of Bismarck in state building in Germany, again the same. Then the impact of the German unification, right, and the shifting of the balance of power. Two questions have come on this. At the end of the Battle of Sedan, Europe lost a mistress and gained a master. Critically examine. 18 Jan 1871 has been a day of triumph for the strength and pride of Germany, and 28 June 1919 was the day of chastisement. Critically examine. Oh, this is something which has been asked here, right? दोनों events को cover कर लिया. Day of unification in the hall of Versailles. Similarly, the day of signing of Treaty of Versailles. So this is something which we have to understand. Then what factors helped in the process of German unification, including the diplomatic factors. Then the 1848, उसके ऊपर भी क्वेश्चन आता है कि भाई how the language of narrow nationalism held at Frankfurt, where the constitution was drafted but it was rejected by the Prussian king, as well as the fatal idea of aggrandizement under the Charles Albert of the House of Savoy destroyed the Italian unification. To 1848 में how the unification failed in both the countries. It is very, very important, and UPSC has asked a very analytical question on that. Then the debate, what is more responsible, coal and iron or blood and iron? Coal and iron, this word was utilized by John Maynard Keynes, who is one of the most famous economists of the 20th century. So he said it was not blood and iron, it was coal and iron, because coal and iron came first. It created the resources. On the basis of resources, the blood and iron eventually was able to strengthen the political unity of Germany. So that's a debate that we have. To Bismarck, the conclusion of Treaty of 20th May 1882 was the culmination of his system command. So if we see this question is more about the policies which were followed by Bismarck from 1870 till 1890 till he remained in office, and how he was able to isolate France. Then Bismarck united Germany not by majority of votes and speeches but by policy of blood and iron. So we have to assess his role. Napoleon was able to redraw the map of Germany. He was able to merge more than 300 smaller German states into 39 states, all right, and along with Austria and Prussia. So this was a very big simplification of the map of Germany, and that's how he kindled the national sentiment. But German unity was achieved by Bismarck. Again, Bismarck created a new Germany with the policy of political unification. Germany was accomplished by Bismarck. Isolation of France, this is the phase of 1870 to 1890, constituted the keystone of Bismarck's foreign policy. Elucidate. At the end of Battle of Sedan, Europe lost a mistress and gained a master. This is a famous statement. Okay, it has come from the Kettleby. So he was one of the diplomats from the England, and he could assess what was bound to happen. The balance of power has now shifted. Unification of Germany was the one thing Bismarck was determined to prevent. So this is a statement which comes from a historian who goes for a counter viewpoint, that since Austria was kept out of the German unification process, it means that German unification was never complete. Plus the pathway which was chosen by Bismarck, it was very risky in nature, and as a result of that, he was a big obstruction in the unification of Germany. Moreover, he wanted that the Prussianization of Germany was his agenda rather than Germanization of Prussia. That's why LCB Seaman comes up with this perspective. So you should know such perspective ताकि अच्छे marks आ जाए. राइट, इन 2018 यूपीएससी ने जब क्वेश्चन पूछा तो मैंने एक काउंटर पर्सपेक्टिव भी उसमें लास्ट में लिखा था कि भाई यस देयर इज अ रोल ऑफ बिस्मार्क इन द जर्मन यूनिफिकेशन, बट एट द सेम टाइम यू हैव टू ऑल्सो अंडरस्टैंड दैट द प्रोसेस फॉलोड बाय हिम ऑल्सो मेड इट रिस्की, ऑल्सो मेड इट लाइक नॉट हैविंग सर्टन पार्ट ऑफ द जर्मन स्पीकिंग पीपल. So that is something which is appreciated by UPSC. It is one of the ironies of the history that Napoleon was the creator of modern Germany. Why? Because his aim was that by creating these 39 strong states under the Confederation of Rhine, he'll use them against both Prussia as well as Austria. However, later on this was accepted by the Vienna Congress and eventually became very easy for Bismarck later on. Napoleon kindled the national sentiment, but German unity was achieved by Bismarck. So that is the same category of question. Then the comparison. Unification of Italy and Germany constituted a contrast in the respect of the ways they were affected and impact that they left on the international politics. Like Germany became the supreme power. It was able to ensure that all the major conferences like Berlin Conference they are going to happen there now, thereafter. 1884-85 partition of Africa, 1878 Treaty of Berlin. वो सारी चीज़ें अब जर्मनी में. Italy on the other side remained a weak power. It was even defeated by Ethiopia 1894-95. So Italy was not able to have that kind of an impact on European relationship. And this question is a bit थोड़ा सा आगे से, where we see the comparison between Italy and Germany with respect to their fascist regimes. And finally, the comparison between Cavour and Bismarck. These two were the major players of this after the era of Metternich, 1848 onwards. And both of them, they were the supreme diplomats of their time. We have to compare their achievement, see the striking point of resemblance as well as no striking points of dissimilarity. क्या उनके similarity थी, क्या उनकी dissimilarity, दोनों हमने understand करनी. So what we have seen that this topic is very very heavy. It's not easy. तो आपको तरीके से पूरा डायमेंशन चार्ट बनाना पड़ेगा और साथ में फिर इसको करना पड़ेगा. Now, disintegration of empires through the emergence of nationalities. The rise of nationalism across nations shattered the chains which had held them together. The empire of modern Europe. Discuss. Eastern question has always been international question. Turkish Renaissance, the role of Kemal Pasha. नो, ये टर्की वाला रोल जो क्वेश्चन जो है वो नहीं आते हैं बिकॉज वो आपके सिलेबस से आउट हो चुके हैं. तो पुराने क्वेश्चन से फिर भी हम इनको रखते ही इसलिए हैं ताकि हमें पता होना चाहिए कल को अगर कोई उल्टा पुल्टा क्वेश्चन आ जाए तो इनके बारे में थोड़ा सा भी पढ़ लोगे तो एक इंश्योरेंस की तरह रहता है. इंश्योरेंस हम इसलिए लेते हैं कि बुरे दिन के लिए. Then the Eastern question has always been an international question. Under Mustafa Kemal's dictatorship, Turkey was rapidly nationalized. So that is something which is we do not require right now. But anyway, these are all the questions from this topic, and what is required from our side to understand the sources very carefully. कैसे यहाँ से पढ़ना है. So please see, there are two specific topics that we have. The rise of nationalism, you can easily see from page number 83 to 114. Then the rising tide of nationalism, chapter number 5. It is very important. यहाँ से आप इजीली पढ़ सकते हो. यूनिफिकेशन ऑफ इटली एज वेल एज जर्मनी. सेम बुक है आपकी, रंजन चक्रवर्ती, इधर उधर नहीं जाना है. देन फ्रॉम नॉर्मल लो यू कैन रीड दिस चैप्टर द एंड ऑफ द यूरोपियन एम्पायर चैप्टर नंबर 24। अब इसका नया वर्जन भी आ चुका है, तो चैप्टर आप देख लेना, उसका चैप्टर नंबर चेंज हो सकता है बट टाइटल सेम है। दैन इग्नू से अगर आप पढ़ना चाहे तो फॉर्मेशन ऑफ नेशन स्टेट्स जर्मनी एंड इटली, वो आप चाहे तो पढ़ सकते हो। ठीक है, तो दीज आर द सोर्सेज विच यू हैव टू गो थ्रू, अलॉन्ग विद दैट यू हैव टू सॉल्व द प्रीवियस ईयर क्वेश्चंस। मतलब ये दो चीज़ें देखो करनी ही पड़ेंगी, साथ में आप नोट्स बना सकते हो इफ़ यू गोइंग फॉर द सेल्फ प्रिपरेशन। इफ़ यू विश टू प्रिपेयर इट विद अस, ओके, अगर हमारे साथ प्रिपेयर करने का मन है, यू विश टू बिकम समबडी हु इज़ वेरी मेथोडोलॉजिकल, जो कि 5 से 6 महीने में बहुत अच्छी प्रिपरेशन करना चाहते हो, यू कैन जस्ट बिकम अ पार्ट ऑफ आवर फाउंडेशन कोर्स, इट इज़ जस्ट गेटिंग स्टार्टेड। और आप अच्छे से सारी चीज़ें शुरुआत से कर सकते हो एंड विल मेक श्योर कि जब आप इसको धीरे धीरे करके पढ़ाई करोगे, यू विल रिटेन ईच एंड एवरीथिंग, यू विल डेवलप द होल अप्रोच ऑफ आंसर राइटिंग। नोट्स की तो प्रॉब्लम ही नहीं होता, आपको क्लास वाइज सारे मिल ही जाएंगे, और ये बुक्स भी आपको पढ़ने की रिक्वायरमेंट नहीं पड़ेगी, बिकॉज इन बुक्स को यूटिलाइज करके ही हमने आपके नोट्स डेवलप करे हैं। सारे हम PYQ सॉल्व करते हैं क्लास के बीच में, विच इज़ एन एडिशनल पार्ट। नहीं तो क्या होता है, आप बहुत लोग फाउंडेशन कोर्स करते हो, बाद में फिर PYQ सॉल्व करते करते और ज़्यादा टाइम लग जाता है, विच अफेक्ट्स योर GS प्रिपरेशन। तो मेक श्योर वी डू एवरीथिंग एट द राइट टाइम। सो इफ़ यू नीड एनी काइंड ऑफ मेंटरशिप, प्लीज़ रजिस्टर। आपको ऑलरेडी डिस्क्रिप्शन बॉक्स में एक फॉर्म मिल जाएगा, उसको रजिस्टर कर लीजिए। क्लासेस अटेंड करते रहिए यूट्यूब पे, अच्छी क्लैरिटी लेते रहिए, एंड फाइनली ऑल्सो रीड द प्रेस्क्राइब्ड बुक, है ना। अगर सेल्फ से लर्निंग करनी है तो बुक तो पढ़ना पड़ेगा, बिना बुक पढ़े काम नहीं चलने वाला है। ऑलराइट, सो मेक श्योर you do these things. These rituals are very, very important for acing in this examination. And this exam is purely about those who come up with good kind of strategies and then eventually implement it in a very finer manner. उनकी रैंक हमेशा अच्छी आती है और जल्दी आती है, वो सफरिंग वाला फेज़ कम रहता है ना। हार्ड वर्क तो सबको करना ही पड़ेगा, दैट इज़ नॉट एन ऑप्शन यार कि आप उसको छोड़ सकते हो। सो एनीवे, दीज आर द नंबर्स। इफ़ यू हैव एनी काइंड ऑफ डाउट, आप इन नंबर्स पे कॉल कर सकते हो। सब्सक्राइब टू आवर चैनल, ऐसे अच्छे वीडियोस आते रहेंगे। हिस्ट्री ऑप्शनल की प्रिपरेशन से रिलेटेड कोई भी डाउट हो आपको, रजिस्टर कर लीजिए, अच्छा आपको सोल्यूशन मिलेगा उसके हिसाब से। स्ट्रेटेजिक डॉक्यूमेंट जितने भी होते हैं, प्रीवियस ईयर क्वेश्चंस का होता है, कंसेप्ट क्लासेस के होते हैं, NCERTs की कुछ समरीज होती हैं, तो विल कीप ऑन शेयरिंग। सो यू कैन जॉइन आवर टेलीग्राम चैनल ऑल्सो एंड यू विल गेट वेरी गुड कंटेंट with respect to that. Okay, so all the very best and take care.